The same crew that made IGN's infamous April Fool's Day joke, which featured a trailer for a live-action Legend of Zelda movie, has given the same treatment to Metroid. The director of this short film reimagined the series by studying classic sci-fi films of the 60s and 70s like Alien and 2001: A Space Odyssey. And I don't know who all has seen this between you listeners, but man, if this doesn't prove that Nintendo franchises can be adapted into great films.
Yeah, I went into the video not quite knowing what to expect, but being, slightly hyped that I was getting a little live-action short Metroid film, but I was blown away. I thought it was really well done, and I enjoyed the fact that, like the creators of Metroid, they said, hey, they drew inspiration from sci-fi of the 60s and 70s, so we're going to theme it off that. And instead of having it be, about actions and guns blazing, it was more about themes of isolation and things like that. And there was still a little bit of action in it, but, it was really good. I thought they did a great job of capturing the exact feel they were going for, and I was gripped from start to finish.
Yeah, well, especially with them examining, like, Alien, because that is the movie that Metroid was most heavily inspired by.
Right.
I was most pleased, honestly, with the art direction for this, as well as the story concept. Both of them felt very faithful to Metroid. The acting and the writing were kind of meh.
Yeah.
But no, they clearly know what people are looking for out of Metroid media, and I'd love to see some partnership like this become official so that we can get something more full feature length.
I'll say, and I think Metroid is, if not the best, Pikmin is certainly a top contender, but one of the best franchises that Nintendo could adapt into a film, and this certainly helps its case. But I feel like, especially with Super Metroid, is just so cinematic already. The way it tells its story, the way that the music sort of is atmospheric yet melodic in this really great way that seems so fitting for a video game that's really telling this story about isolation. I think Metroid fits the bill perfectly, and I think they just did a great job showing it.
It's funny that you describe Super Metroid as cinematic, because I never really think of it that way. But you're right in that it's very visually rich, and that could definitely be mined for a cinematic work.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of there are a few cutscenes, but a lot of them felt very much like they were trying to tell a cinematic story, and that makes sense because it was inspired by stuff like Alien.
Right.
But the whole time, anytime I play Super Metroid, especially like towards the end, when the screen starts shaking to sort of throw you off, I can see, they clearly were inspired by sort of the vocabulary of film for this game, and sort of applied it to this new medium, which was at the time emerging, and at the time those sort of film techniques were completely novel. But it's interesting to see the way that worked in especially a 2D game.
Yeah, and then now we're seeing that kind of flip around where they're taking a lot of techniques from what Metroid does with exploration and isolation, and bringing it back into actual cinema, which is sort of an interesting full circle loop.
Yeah, not only interesting, but I think very fitting for Metroid, very appropriate, almost like Fate.
Right.
Hello everybody, thank you for listening to this Nintendo Week clip, NWC. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to us here on YouTube for more highlights and discussion videos from Nintendo Week podcast, or subscribe to us on iTunes for weekly breakdowns of all your Nintendo news, discussion segments on subjects, games, and more, and tons of other features. Thanks for listening, and we will see you tomorrow with another NWC.